The first thing I noticed wasn't her voice. It was her silence. My wife never hesitated. Not in meetings, not in arguments, not even in the quiet moments when most people second-guessed themselves. She was the kind of woman who made silence feel like a calculated move, not an absence of words. But that morning, the silence felt wrong. I stood at the doorway of our bedroom, my hand still on the knob, watching her sit on the edge of the bed. Her back was straight, but her shoulders, those always perfect, controlled shoulders, were trembling. "Lena," I said carefully. She flinched. Not subtly. Not like someone surprised. Like someone afraid. My chest tightened. Lena Arshad didn't flinch. She made other people flinch. CEO of one of the largest tech empires in the country. Ruthless in business. Precise in speech. Cold in a way that made people respect her before they even understood her. And yet now, she looked like someone who had just woken up in a stranger's life. She turned slowly, her eyes meeting mine. For a moment, I forgot how to breathe. There was no recognition in them. "Who are you?" she whispered. The words didn't hit me immediately. They hovered in the air, fragile and unreal, like they didn't belong to her. I forced a small, steady smile. Very funny. She didn't smile back. Instead, her fingers clutched the bedsheet tighter, her knuckles turning white. "Please, don't come closer." That's when something inside me cracked. "Lena," I said, my voice dropping, sharper now. "What kind of game is this?" "I'm not playing," she snapped, and the fear in her voice made the room feel smaller. "I don't know you. I don't know this place." I woke up and her voice broke. Tears filled her eyes. I had seen Lena face billion-dollar losses without blinking. I had seen her fire entire teams without raising her voice. I had seen her stand in front of hostile boards and tear them apart with nothing but logic. I had never seen her cry. "I think something's wrong with me," she whispered. The silence that followed wasn't empty anymore. It was heavy, because for the first time since I'd known her, I believed her, and that terrified me more than anything she could have said. The doctor said it was possible. Temporary memory loss, psychological trauma, a rare neurological condition. He listed possibilities like they were items on a menu, his tone calm, detached. But nothing about this felt clinical. Because Lena didn't just forget things. She forgot herself. "She doesn't recognize you?" the doctor asked. "No. Anyone else. She doesn't even recognize her own name unless we tell her." The doctor nodded slowly. "And her behavior?" I hesitated. "How do you explain that your ice-cold, untouchable wife now looks at you like you're a threat?" "She's different." That was an understatement. The woman sitting in the hospital room, wrapped in a blanket, staring at her own hands like they didn't belong to her, that wasn't the Lena I married. That Lena would have demanded answers. This one was afraid to ask questions. When I walked back into the room, she looked up immediately. Her body stiffened. That reaction again, like I was dangerous. "Hey," I said quietly, keeping my distance. She nodded, but didn't speak. I sat down across from her, leaving space between us. "The doctor says your memory might come back." "Might," she echoed. "Yeah." Her lips pressed together. "And if it doesn't?" I didn't answer. Because I didn't know. She looked down again. "You said we're married." "Yes." Her fingers tightened around the blanket. "Were we happy?" The question hit harder than anything else. I thought about the late nights. The cold dinners. The conversations that felt more like negotiations. I thought about the way she looked at me most days, like I was part of her life, but not a priority in it. And yet, yes, I said, because somehow, despite everything, that answer felt true. She studied my face like she was searching for something. "You don't look like a liar." I almost laughed. "If only you knew," I muttered. "What?" "Nothing." A long pause stretched between us. Then she said, softly, "Why am I scared of you?" That question changed everything. Because I didn't have an answer. And for the first time, I realized something unsettling. Maybe the problem wasn't her memory. Maybe it was what she remembered about me, before she forgot. She refused to come home that night. "I don't feel safe there," she said, her voice trembling just enough to make the words feel real. "Safe." The word echoed in my head like an accusation. "This is your home," I told her, trying to keep my tone steady. "It doesn't feel like it." The way she said it, so quietly, so honestly, made it impossible to argue. So I didn't. Instead, I arranged for her to stay in a private recovery suite at the hospital. I told myself it was temporary. But deep down, I knew something had shifted. When I left, she didn't ask me to stay. She just watched me go, her eyes filled with a kind of fear that didn't belong in a marriage. That night, I didn't sleep. I sat in my office, staring at old photos. Our wedding, corporate events, vacations that looked perfect on the surface. In every picture, Lena stood beside me, elegant, composed, untouchable. And distant, always distant. I leaned back in my chair, exhaling slowly. "Why are you afraid of me?" I whispered to the empty room. The silence didn't answer, but the next morning did. Because when I returned to the hospital, she was gone. Panic is a strange thing. It doesn't come all at once. It creeps in, first as confusion, then as urgency, and finally, as something sharp and uncontrollable. She checked herself out early this morning, the nurse told me. Alone, yes. My jaw tightened. Did she say where she was going? No, sir. Of course she didn't. Why would she trust anyone here? Why would she trust me? I pulled out my phone, dialing her number. It rang. Once, twice, then, hello. Her voice, small and uncertain. Relief hit me so hard it almost hurt. Lena, where are you? A pause. I don't know. My grip tightened on the phone. What do you mean you don't know? I took a taxi. I just told him to drive. That's not. I stopped myself, forcing my voice to calm down. Look around. Tell me what you see. She described a quiet street. Small shops. A cafe. Not her world. Not our world. I'm coming, I said. No. The word was immediate, sharp. Lena, please, she whispered. Just tell me what kind of person you are. The question caught me off guard. What? If I stay, she said slowly, if I go back with you, I need to know who I'm trusting. I closed my eyes, because the truth wasn't simple. I'm your husband, I said. That's not an answer. No, it wasn't, and we both knew it. I found her sitting alone at a small cafe. She looked out of place. Not because of her clothes or her posture, but because she looked human. Vulnerable, soft, things Lena never allowed herself to be. When she saw me, she tensed. But she didn't run. That was something. I sat across from her, slowly. No sudden moves, I said lightly. She didn't smile. Just answer me, she said. What kind of man are you? I leaned back, studying her. This version of Lena, she wanted honesty. The old Lena would have demanded control. I'm not perfect, I said. I didn't ask for perfect. I'm difficult, I admitted. I work too much. I don't always say what I should. Her eyes didn't leave mine. Do you hurt people? The question landed like a blade. Yes, I said quietly. She inhaled sharply. But not like you think, I added. Then how? I hesitated. Then said, I hurt people by not seeing them when I should. Silence. Heavy. Meaningful. And me? She asked. That question. That was the one I couldn't escape. You, I said slowly, are the one person I should have seen the most. Her eyes softened, just a little, and for the first time since this nightmare began, she didn't look at me like I was a stranger. She looked at me like I was a possibility. The truth didn't come all at once. It came in fragments. A forgotten call. A missed anniversary. A fight neither of us finished. As Lena spent more time with me, carefully, cautiously, she began to piece together the life she had lost. And I began to see it for what it really was. Not a perfect marriage. Not even a good one. Just two people, surviving each other. You were lonely, she said one evening. We were sitting in the living room now. She had finally agreed to come back. Yes, I admitted. So was I, she whispered. I looked at her. Really looked. And realized, this wasn't just about her memory. It was about everything we had ignored. Everything we had buried. Everything we had pretended didn't matter, until it broke her. The twist came quietly. Like everything else. I remember something, she said one night. My heart stopped. What? She looked at me, her expression unreadable. I remember being afraid. The words sent a chill down my spine. Of me? I asked. She shook her head slowly. No, a pause. Of losing you. I frowned. That doesn't make sense. It didn't then either, she said softly. But I think, I was pushing you away before you could leave. The realization hit me like a wave. All the distance. All the coldness. It wasn't indifference. It was fear. And I had answered it, with more distance. More silence. More absence. We had been destroying each other, without even realizing it. The night her memory fully returned, she cried. Not quietly, not softly, she broke. I remember everything, she said, her voice shaking. I didn't move, I didn't speak, I just waited. I remember how we became strangers, she whispered. I remember choosing work over us. I remember thinking you'd always be there, no matter how far I pushed you. Tears streamed down her face. I remember being wrong. I stepped closer, slowly, carefully, and now, I asked. She looked up at me. No fear, no distance, just honesty. Now I'm terrified, she said, that you won't stay. The silence that followed wasn't heavy anymore. It was fragile, hopeful. I reached out, hesitating only for a second before taking her hand. I'm still here, I said. Her fingers tightened around mine, like she was afraid I'd disappear. And for the first time since all of this began, we weren't strangers anymore. We were two broken people, finally choosing each other.